If you want something, then let yourself have it. That's been echoing in my mind lately. And it actually comes from one of my favorite childhood movies from Disney Channel, HalloweenTown. There's this scene where Marnie asks her grandmother how magic works, and the grandmother, this powerful witch, just smiles and says, "Magic is very simple. All you gotta do is want something and let yourself have it," as they're magically flying on a broom together. Now, I don't believe in witches, but I do believe in the magic of wanting, and even more in the courage it takes to let yourself receive what you want. Today, I want to share how that played out in my own life recently with a trip to California, the resistance I faced, the fallout that came with it, and what I'm learning about the magic of wanting through a book I'm reading called 10X is Easier Than 2X by Dan Sullivan. This is episode 82. If you want something, then let yourself have it. Welcome to Healing with Haley. I'm your coach, Haley Kirk. On this podcast, we dive into ways to heal, embrace, and truly love our lives. Here's my belief. So much of our suffering comes from what we believe. I'm here to help you understand your mind and question those thoughts to start your healing journey. Ready to get started? Let's go. Hello, my fellow podcasting crew. I am so grateful for you. Very, very grateful to be here and to share this new knowledge that I have for wanting. I think wanting is so cool. So I want to share a quick story with you. Earlier this July, my friends came to visit me here in Baltimore, and these friends have honestly been very pivotal for me. I was previously married. I don't know if I've shared that on the podcast before, and I was really struggling in that relationship, and it was during COVID, and my friend Kendi, she was like, "I want to go on a Congress." And so we went to this Congress in Phoenix, and had I not gone to that Congress in Phoenix, it was a very pivotal moment for me and changed the trajectory of my life in Utah at the time. And these friends have been with me through divorce, through baby, through breakup. I mean, these friends have been with me through so many of the valleys and downward spirals of my life. So I really am so rejuvenated when I'm with them. And we had so much fun when they came to visit me in Baltimore, and we did a bunch of things, dancing and food and all the giggles. And we even did we went to the DC Hula Girls event. I mean, it was magical. And when they left, I thought, let's keep this momentum going. Like, I love this girl crew we got. There's a little trio. Kendi and Sarah are my girls. So that's when California started tugging at me, and it didn't feel random. I already knew I'd be back there this September for coach training with my own coach. So it was like the universe was laying breadcrumbs. July with my friends, August for this past trip, and then September for training. And I thought, okay, I hear you. California's calling me. But wanting it didn't make it easy. I told my son's father that I was going to go on this trip. And back in June, I confirmed with him. I said, hey, I want to go on this trip for Labor Day weekend. Can you make this happen? And I had to circle back with him a few times, and he said, yes, just make sure you're back home early because, I have work the next day. And I said, of course. So planned it, booked it. Then when it came to the week of the trip, I, reminded him, hey, this is the plan. And he started to back out. He said, there's no way you would ask me to do 2 trips. That's just too much. And suddenly this was just turning into some, restraints, restrictions, and resistance. And I had to hold him accountable. And I said, I can't make plans with you and then you fall out and not do your part. I need you to be accountable, right? I can't book flights and then you just cancel on me. That's not okay. So I had to set a boundary and I had to, use one of the 10th laws of boundaries, which is the law of exposure. Like that's not okay. You're not allowed to just cancel on me last minute. Um, so there were these old voices, maybe I should let it go. Maybe it's not worth it. Maybe it's selfish. I don't really need to go to California. Um, Money's tight already. I, I should just not go and I should just, play small and just be not rock the boat kind of thoughts. But then that line from HalloweenTown came back. If you want something, let yourself have it. So I chose to go because Haley, back in June when she booked this flight, wanted to go. And Haley in August also wanted to go. But I had to fight for what I wanted. I was also at the time reading this book, 10x is easier than 2x. And the author talks about how most people operate from scarcity. I no longer wanted to operate out of scarcity, and I wanted to do what I wanted, which was go to California with my friend. So when most people are operating out of scarcity, or it sounds like this, with people operating out of scarcity, ask, what do I need? What's required to survive? How do I squeeze a little more out of what I already have? That's 2x thinking, incremental, heavy, tied to effort. But 10x is different. 10x says, what do I want? What's the bigger vision? And when you live from want, it pulls you forward. It evolves you. It's not about grinding just like from your current life. It's about stepping into a whole new version of you, a new version of your life. And it's vulnerable as all get out, because wanting means you might not get it. But that's also what makes it powerful. There's a lot of risk. It's risky. It's vulnerable to want, right? You could lose. You could fail. It could not happen when you want it to. One of my favorite parts of the book is where the author's talking about Michelangelo. And I think he was 17 when he sculpted the Pieta in Rome. And it was this breathtaking marble statue of Mary holding Jesus after the crucifixion. At that age, most people were still learning their craft, but Michelangelo had already gone 10x. But what was cool about this is his thirst to be the best, right? Like he was totally thinking outside the box because he had this 10x vision. He was using cadavers to analyze body autonomy, and he would sketch things and study, and he would dig graves of really poor people to learn this art. And he sculpted a few other things before the Pieta, but he also first started out closer to the surface of the marble. So in case he messed up, he could just dig a little deeper into the marble, which I thought was just genius. I mean, he had really 10x this vision for himself. I mean, he was so young, and he just had this big vision, and he 10x'd every single time he did a piece of art. And he got into bigger and bigger circles, like the Pope and these really wealthy, affluent people wanting these sculptures. And how? He wasn't focused on what's realistic or what do I need to do to survive as a young artist. He was consumed by his want, the want to create something immortal, something divine, something that would outlive him. And because he let himself want at that scale, he didn't just produce good work, he produced masterpieces. The Pieta was so advanced, so extraordinary, that it set him apart as one of the greatest artists of his time before he even turned 25. And of course, later on, he went to do the David and just amazing pieces of artwork. And if you think about it, right, there's so many aspects of our lives that we 10x, right? I mean, from baby, we're not lifting our head to lifting our head and crawling. That's a 10x shift. From crawling to walking, 10x. Walking to talking, 10x. And there's just so many ways in our lives that we have 10x, from renting to owning a home, from not being in a relationship to being in a relationship, or from no kids to one kid, right? There's so many ways in our lives where we are 10xing. And it's just beautiful to acknowledge those aspects of our lives. And so I really want to kind of go deeper into needs versus wants. That really blew my mind. Wants are actually more simple than needs. Needs come with clutter and drama. How will I afford this? How do I juggle childcare? What about income? What about the fallout? Wants cut through all that. Wants are direct. And wants are soul level clarity. When I said I want California, my brain exploded with the logistics. But my want brain, it just said, let's go. We're going to figure it out. And once I honored that want path, it wasn't easy. It became really clear. And I started to set boundaries with my son's father. I said, if you say you're going to do something, you need to be accountable. And I had, for this trip only, I said, this is the last time I'm going to bail you out. This is the last time I'm going to help you find kid care for my son when you agreed to watch him for this trip. So this is like it's like a want/boundaries podcast episode. And 10x means letting go. And this is kind of the hard part. Here's the part that stings as well. You don't get to 10x by adding more. You get there by letting go. I couldn't step into California while also clinging to old patterns, keeping the peace, shrinking myself, over accommodating. I had to let those go. And yes, that meant conflict. That meant discomfort. That meant income withheld, threats, but it also meant alignment. It meant choosing the life that's calling me, not the one I'm afraid to lose. And when it comes to the 10x version, there's so much we have to let go of. We have to let go of what people want for us, right? And we have to let go of people pleasing. We have to let go of being approved of by others. We have to let go of so many things to get to that 10x level. Maybe even friendships, maybe even romantic relationships, maybe even family ties. If they're keeping us from getting to that level. And true love, right? Love is expansive. If someone's trying to suppress you from achieving the life that you want, that's not love, right? It's actually quite manipulative. The other part from the book that I want to talk about is wealth. When it talks about wealth, this conversation was blowing my mind. Wealth isn't money, but money follows wealth. And wealth is a mindset. What? It's freedom. And there are two kinds. There's freedom from scarcity, from control, from limitations, freedom from time restrictions, freedom from time restraints. And then there's freedom too, to create, to travel, to grow, to imagine bigger. This California trip was about both. It was freedom from being stuck in old dynamics, and it was freedom to step into a bigger vision, to follow momentum, to say yes to what was tugging at me. And honestly, I don't think this is the last breadcrumb. And that idea, right? That wealth is freedom from and freedom to. I think when I read that book, and I'm a full-time mom, podcaster, coach, and I was like, I have so much wealth. It made me realize how wealthy I am right at this moment, right? Like I have a home, I'm somehow able to afford it. And I have a podcast that's now monetized and made 3 cents so far. And I get paid to do what I love, which is taking care of my son, learning, growing, building a business, podcasting. I mean, what an abundant life. I feel so lucky that that's my life. At the same time, it's what I want, and I'm fighting for it. I want it, and I'm not going back. I'm keeping it, and I'm fighting for it, and I want this. So let's circle back to that childhood movie, right? HalloweenTown. When she says that magic is very simple, all you got to do is want something and let yourself have it. Wanting is magic. Letting yourself receive what you want is the spell, if you will. And let yourself have it. And here's kind of that other piece of the puzzle, right? Let yourself have it. What does that look like? To me, at this point in my life, what that looks like, what I've learned so far that I'd like to impart to you, letting yourself have it means, what would it feel like emotionally to have what you're looking for? I was doing and this is where Joe Dispenza's work really comes into play for me. He says, remember the emotion you feel whenever you're with your friends or some kind of crazy memory. When he said that, I was at a Summit of Greatness conference with Lewis Howes, and he came on the stage and he was like, remember this memory, remember that. He kept saying it like over and over. He's like, remember how you feel right now. Remember. And I loved that because I felt amazing at that conference. I loved how I felt. I loved the people I met. They were all aligned. Like growth, self-improvement. I mean, and it felt so healing to be there. It felt expansive to be there. It felt informative and wealth building and mind blowing. I love how I felt there. And I want to put myself in those environments as frequently as I possibly can. And it's vulnerable. Wanting is so vulnerable because people might not support it. Money might get tight. You might lose comfort or predictability. But what you gain for yourself? But what if you gain yourself back? What if in the wanting, you're actually finding yourself and more in alignment with you and this version of you that's just almost unrecognizable a little bit, but just that expanded version of you. You know when little kids are little, they always say like, I want to be a dinosaur. I want to be an astronaut. It just these wild things, right? And it's just fun and creative and playful. And I think when we can stay in that like creative headspace, I think when we stop dreaming, we become consumers, right? Consumers of drugs, alcohol, food, shopping, pornography. I mean, like anything, social media, right? Like there's so much to consume. We are in a very consumer time space of humanity. But what if we could just stay in creation, stay in that creative space, create content, create art, create the dream life we're envisioning for ourselves. So let me leave you with this. What do you want right now? Not what you need, not what you should want, but what you truly want. This is also an excerpt I still need to do from the book that I want to impart with you guys. So from the book, there's a few series of questions that I want you guys to write down. I'll also put them in the show notes so you guys have them. And you do this exercise with me. Maybe next episode we'll compare notes. How have you grown as a person in the last 3 years? What are the biggest things you have learned in the past 12 months? What are the greatest accomplishments in the last 12 months? What meaningful experiences have you had in the last 90 days? How are you more clear on your goals than you were 90 days ago? In what ways is your life different and better than 90 days ago? What important progress have you made in the last 7 days? What progress have you made in the last 24 hours? No matter where you are at in your 10x process, you are making gains. To go 10x, you have to let things go. You're making big progress by letting go. So I hope if you get anything from this podcast episode, I hope you get permission to dream, permission to want, and not have to justify it. It doesn't have to be logical. You don't have to justify it. You don't have to explain it. You just get to want it. I give you that permission to just want and dream and allow that to just enrapture you, right? And just consume you in the most beautiful way. I want to have a hair salon. I want to, solve world hunger. I want to protect the innocence of the world. I want to end human trafficking. I want to bring more peace to the world. I want. Let those wants just permeate and be real and believe that they can happen. I leave this with you with love and compassion and a desire for your life to be beautiful, to be precious, to be magical. Just like the grandmother in HalloweenTown. If you want something, please let yourself have it. I'll see you in the next episode. All right, before you go, I need you to hear this. You don't need to keep white knuckling your way through life. You don't need to figure it out on your own. You deserve support. You deserve strategy. You deserve to feel like yourself again. And that's exactly why I'm offering you a complimentary free 30-minute coaching session. No strings, no pressure, just real conversation, real breakthroughs, and a real chance to feel lighter, clearer, and way more in control. If you've been listening and nodding your head thinking, yes, that's me, then this is the moment to stop thinking and start doing. Click the link in the show notes and schedule your free session right now. Right now, not later, not when you have time, right this moment, because you're worth showing up for you. And if you have any questions, feel free to DM me on Instagram at healing_with_Haley. I am here for you, but don't overthink it. What you're going to do in this free session is we're going to unpack any negative belief systems, build momentum with clear strategies, leave you feeling lighter, calmer, more confident, more grounded. These are the emotions you're going to feel after a session with me. Don't overthink it. The life you want starts with one decision. This could be the one thing that changes everything for you this year. Let's do this. All right, before you go, I need you to hear this. You don't need to keep white knuckling your way through life. You don't need to figure it out on your own. You deserve support. You deserve strategy. You deserve to feel like yourself again. And that's exactly why I'm offering you a complimentary free 30-minute coaching session. No strings, no pressure, just real conversation, real breakthroughs, and a real chance to feel lighter, clearer, and way more in control. If you've been listening and nodding your head thinking, oh, yes, that's me, then this is the moment to stop thinking and start doing. Click the link in the show notes and schedule your free session right now. Right now, not later, not when you have time, right this moment, because you're worth showing up for you. And if you have any questions, feel free to DM me on Instagram at healing_with_Haley. I am here for you, but don't overthink it. What you're going to do in this free session is we're going to unpack any negative belief systems, build momentum with clear strategies, leave you feeling lighter, calmer, more confident, more grounded. These are the emotions you're going to feel after a session with me. Don't overthink it. The life you want starts with one decision. This could be the one thing that changes everything for you this year. Let's do this.